What's going on? Mute.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep. My computer just crapped. It was just like, it's been acting funky all day. So I went to restart it, and then I was like, don't shut your computer off. It's updating right now. So I'm like, oh my God. Anyhow, usually that can take a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Andrew, was I able to unmute because I'm a co-host? Because I shouldn't have been able to unmute myself.
yeah, I think I had to change that in the settings. Good call.
Yeah, I was able to unmute.
Security. Participants. Did they move that feature?
Not
Allow
sure.
participants to chat.
You were able to set it up when you set up the meeting that it was.
I did, but they literally just updated their platform yesterday.
Got it.
And lock meeting, enable waiting room, allow participants to share screen. No chatting. So I actually disabled the chat. I see mute all. Oh, here we are. Mute participants upon entry. Allow participants to unmute themselves. I'll uncheck that.
Okay.
So mute participants upon entry, yes. Allow them to unmute, no. Renaming, no. Okay, I think that's good on that stuff. So let me make you guys all co-hosts. More, make co-host. Matt, make co-host. Lisa, make co-host. So you guys should all now be co-hosts. Do you see that on your side anywhere?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. I see David is joining us. Not sure, is David internal? Just gonna log in to the community. It's like trying to shut down all the stuff running in the background that doesn't need to be running. I'm gonna share the slides with you all. Just pull it up and see what you think.
Okay.
so we got that. Just a general thank you as well. A couple housekeeping things. So this is, I think this pretty much got everything.
Andrew, I would specify, and I'm sure you're going to do this, but the raise your hand to speak is not literally raise your hand, but click the raise your hand within Zoom.
Right. Good call. Yeah, no, I'll definitely do that. And that again is under the participants, right?
Yes.
Participants panel.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Other than that, look good.
Yes.
Just go through the agenda really quickly. And then I didn't get any feedback from the team in terms of who can we, if people do not volunteer to participate in the brain toss, we'll have to, you know, I'll start with some of our folks, maybe start with Tillo or Lee, and then maybe that'll prompt some other folks to volunteer for that. So we'll see how that goes. I think actually before that, so probably after the either after the housekeeping or after the agenda, probably between those two, I have a poll that I'll launch. And that's the one we talked about earlier, just about the let me see, where is the two poll? Should be two separate polls. Yeah, poll one.
Have you been to a user group before, and are you customer, partner, prospect?
Yep. So I got the polls ready to go. I just got to launch them. So it says launch polling. It's weird. Okay, there we are. Then I can just launch it, and then I think we can display the results. It's just weird how the interface shows it. It's like it gives me the poll, and then it has a little tiny scroll box to. Oh, there it is. Because I had it on my other screen. That's why. Okay, got it. So I'll probably do that between the housekeeping and the agenda, just to get a sense for who's been on calls before, who's not.
Great.
And looks like we got some folks joining us. Fern. I think he's not on yet. I'll have to unmute these guys. Hey guys,
Hello.
how's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. Fern, how you doing?
Well, how are you?
Very good. We have Lee on, we have Gina on. Lee, I'm gonna promote you to presenter here, or just co-host, so that you can do your thing when it's your time. Make co-host.
And then Andrew, maybe if we want to have Lee just share his screen just to make sure we're good to go on that as well.
Yep, Lee, love his background. Yeah, Lee, do you wanna share your screen just to make sure that we're good there? I don't see why it wouldn't be, but you're on mute. Let me unmute you. You should be able to unmute yourself now that you're a co-host.
I'm here.
Yep, we can hear you. So I'll also unmute my, I'm just gonna make everybody on my team, or the Boomi team, we can make you guys co-host, that way you can unmute yourselves without having to raise your hands. So that would be Gina, I see you in there.
You can see my screen okay?
Yes.
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 All right. I'll stop sharing until time.
Save the goodies. There's
The beard
Vishwam.
is back.
Sort of.
No,
Well,
I'm late.
if I can't get a haircut, I'll let everything go.
Dude, looks awesome.
So Vishwam, I've just made you co-host as well, so you're able to share. Do you want to just share your screen briefly to make sure we're good? And I love the background, guys. Nice work. You're on mute.
seems like I was on mute. Okay, can you hear me,
Now we can.
Andrew? Okay, perfect.
Yep. So Gina, I'm gonna make you a co-host so that way you can. I think you're already a co-host.
Okay, so let me
Fern.
this one functionify.
Can you hear me?
We have
Just testing.
Yes. Yep. We got
Yeah.
you.
okay. Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay, so there are few slides.
Can I see? So Rhonda, are you gonna be? I know you're on mute, so let me unmute you. Are you gonna be helping Vishwam with his piece? Just shake your head, yes or no. Yeah, I'll make you also co-host so that way you can chime in, unmute your mic when you need to.
Okay, that'd be great. So, I don't anticipate needing to, but in the event of either of us having bandwidth issues, I've got access to the slides.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, so Lee, you're good. Vishwam and Rhonda, you all are good. Everybody else on this call, with the exception of David, we're waiting for David's audio to connect. David is neither a presenter or a Boomi team, so would be an early participant joining us. Okay, cool. I think we're good. I think so. Yeah. Let me pull up. I'm just gonna pull up my slides. We'll just keep this up here for as people are joining in. At least have something to share. So you guys can see the full screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
So we'll see. Have to see how bandwidth does with the number of folks that we're hoping to join here on the video. Gina, you gonna join us on video? There's
Sorry, working at the same time. No, I'll just stay on screen. My photo.
I think I can force your video on. I think I have the control to do that.
No, don't do that.
All right, Tillo, I'm making you a co-host as well because I would anticipate you'll be vocal.
I might say a thing or two, mostly about Montana. I'm waiting for Montana to start happening.
There you go.
Make some stuff happen.
I'd be scared to let Tillo say anything.
Yet here we are, Fern. Yet here we are.
I know. He's actually my
There he
matching.
is.
value.
It's his twin.
It's my twin that has the same social security number. Randy Pillow here.
Yeah. Dude, you shaved.
Yeah, Mother's Day. Mother came out and she's like, I haven't seen your face for years. You're all right, Mom. You got it.
That's awesome.
Now my kids just want me to do a reverse, one of those, take a picture every day till your beard grows back.
That's awesome.
You lose about what, 10 pounds at when you shave that thing?
Yeah.
So,
I know Lee lost a lot of weight when he shaved his beard.
yep.
Depending on how long this lasts, I'm considering shaving my head.
Nice.
I've done it before my daughter's softball team. So told them if we made it to the end of the season tournament championship game, they could shave my head.
Nice.
We did. They did. It was the whole thing.
We're still 5 minutes away from hopefully seeing a big number of folks joining us. Let's see, co-host. Sarah. Make Sarah a co-host. So I believe David is our first guest. David, is that a thumbs up? I think you are our first official guest on the call. Cool. Hopefully not the only one. Isn't this so much better than just a webinar?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Tell a little quick funny story for you.
Fire away, man.
Earlier today, my dogs cornered a beaver in the backyard.
Yeah.
So I had to go bring them back in the house and make a path for the beaver to run free.
Nice.
Thank goodness.
In the house?
Get some
No,
video of that?
in the backyard. I took some pictures, but no, in the backyard we have a carport in the backyard. There's a canal that runs through the back of my house.
Yep.
And it's full right now. And so it was a baby beaver, so very loud. So my dogs wanted to have at it. So
That sounds like Idaho.
Yeah.
Idaho.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hot dog.
Second beaver in the canal within the last 4 months.
Yeah.
So
Let's
Hey,
check
Rhonda.
my
Hey, Rhonda.
emails.
Looks like Andrew's even got you in the Boomiverse. You're fancy there, huh? Yeah. Long time no see. How have you been?
Pretty well. Pretty good, actually.
Excellent.
Let's see who just joined. Leslie just joined us. Leslie, I'm going to make you a co-host. You can speak at will.
Hey,
Who
Leslie.
the heck hijacked Andy's office?
Yeah.
What? What is my office off now too? Is that what you're saying?
Oh my gosh, I don't think since I've known you, I've ever seen you without a beard.
Oh yeah. Not my office, hijacked my face is what you're saying then, yeah. Wait, a funny anecdote for in the next 1 minute before people join. Someone mentioned something along the lines of, when this happens, I assume Lee was of the same mindset. Everyone says, hey, you shaved your beard, and it takes up 30 seconds to a minute of every meeting, times 10 meetings a day, times 30 people, times 300 days a year. Like, it costs Boomi $100,000 for me to shave my beard.
Never change anything.
Yeah, in lost conversation. So
that's awesome. Stephen Alash, it's Fern.
Hmm.
You're muted. Stephen's with Weyerhaeuser, Andrew.
Nice. Awesome. So we have mute by default for now.
Yeah.
I guess we can unmute until we get started. Then I'll mute everybody.
I just
Well,
want to pass on one.
People
quick-
are filing in, so I'm gonna keep folks muted except for our team
Okay, that's okay.
for the time being.
Stephen will know what I mean by this. Steve, what you asked me for is done. It was finished this morning. Cool.
Up to 34. Let's give another couple of minutes here. So if anyone on the Boomi team needs to be able to unmute and mute at will, I would say use the hand raising feature under the participants window. We'll make sure that we make that happen. I'm trying to keep this as interactive as possible, but not become chaos with everyone trying to chat at once. But I think everyone should be good. Let's see, Bryce, I'll promote you. Yeah, we got a pretty good crowd so far. Let's give it another, let's say another minute or so, and then we can get the show going. So I believe, Caitlin, you guys are able to unmute and unmute folks, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, just triple checking. We may quadruple check by the time we're ready to start. I think we should be good though. Okay, we're at nearly 50 folks here, at 45 people on the call. So I think it's probably safe to kick this off and get going. We are at 46. Okay, so let me mute everybody for the time being. And then folks on my side, if you have anything to add, feel free to chime in. If you can, I selected allow participants to not unmute themselves. I believe the hosts and co-hosts should be able to do that on their own. So we should be good. So great. Welcome everybody. This is the first of many virtual user groups that we're running. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Andrew Mishalov. I run the what was formerly the in-person user group program, which has now been pivoted very quickly to the virtual user group program. So we're super excited to kick this off. I think this is gonna really enable us to have yet another venue with which to connect with you all, allow you all to connect with each other, share your stories, share best practices, kind of the same stuff that we're able to do for the in-person events. You know, we are certainly looking forward to getting back to in-person events, but not replacing these. Just, you know, these will be just one more place with which we can connect. So we're excited by that. You know, the reason we want to have as many people on video as possible is to make these feel more like an in-person event. These are not webinars. These are not Boomi or, you know, one or two people speaking at you. This is speaking with you as a group collectively. So we can all feel better connected and get the most out of these sessions as we possibly can. So again, welcome to the first event. Let me advance my screens here, my slides. So I want to thank you guys for joining. I know that there's a lot of pressure out there right now to join Zoom sessions. You know, even within Boomi, we have implemented a no Zoom Wednesday. So I'm officially breaking that rule right now. It is Wednesday. right? Yes, it's Wednesday today. So I'm officially breaking that rule, but this is an important reason to have a Zoom call. So we were super excited that you were able to join us. We know there's a lot of invites going out. There's a lot of virtual events happening all around the world. So we're going to hope to set ours apart. Again, this is the very first one. Now that we have a few more people on the line, so we're excited to make these different. And with your feedback and your support and your help, we can certainly do that and make sure that these are as valuable as they possibly can be. Just a couple of quick things, housekeeping to go over before we start is that the session is being recorded. You know, the plan is to publish this in the community so that for those of you who want to go back and refer back to one of the speakers or what they may have said, something interesting that you may have learned that you just want to go back and refresh your memory, that will be made available via the community. You know, for those who register but were not able to make it, same thing, they can go back, they can listen to the sessions, they can gain from the experience and the intelligence that's being shared today. So that's the purpose for the session being recorded, and it will be posted on the community. I think we'll probably make it only accessible to community members, so it will not be publicly accessible. If there are any concerns about us sharing the video, please let us know. You can send us an email. You can send me an email directly. I'll share with you all my contact information at some point if you don't already have it, but we're certainly open to suggestions. Next, keeping your cameras turned on. I did reach out to Zoom pretty quickly after we sort of went into hiding to find out what the capacity was. Is it really going to screw up our bandwidth if we have 50 or 100 or 150 people with video turned on? And the bottom line is that the platform is, according to them, is able to handle multiple concurrent connections using video up to, I think, 300 or 400. So we're pretty much in the safe zone right now. So we'll monitor that. And again, feedback is a gift. So we're all yours. So if you can keep your mics on, it helps us feel more connected. Gets a chance to see all your happy, smiling faces. So please keep your cameras on if you can. Mics are muted to cut down on noise. I believe my co-hosts can unmute. Does anybody want to give a quick shot?
I can unmute.
Testing.
Beautiful.
T3.
Love it. Thank you, Tillo, for doing that. I think that was Gina, maybe. So good. So if you want, there is a feature in the app. If you open up the participants panel, there is the hand raising feature. So if you want to ask a question, you want to make a comment at any point throughout this event, you know, these are meant to be organic events. So let's pretend that this is a live event. Just raise your hand virtually. We'll keep a lookout. I have my team on to keep a lookout for people who are raising your hand. We'll unmute you, allow you to add your comments, ask your questions, and then we'll go back to silencing your mic. So please take advantage of that feature. We'd love to hear from you directly. I think the chat feature is disabled. Pretty sure it is. So let's use the raise your hand feature and just use our voices to voice our opinions and ask our questions. Last 2 points, there will be a poll at the end. It is short, it is quick. For those of you, again, who have joined the meetings that I've hosted in the past, we always send out a SurveyMonkey after. Unfortunately, the response rate is quite low. So this is a really quick survey. Hopefully you guys can stick around to the very end. We'll push it out, you know, with about 10 minutes to go, so we can at least get that level of feedback, and we'll be able to take those learnings and make these events better in the future. Again, this is the first one for those of you who are joining, first of many. We have 16 over the next 7 to 8 weeks, starting today. So my team is excited. We're excited to continue to keep you all connected during these interesting times that we're all going through. And last but not least, let's have some fun. You know, these events are for you. These are for your benefit, you know, to get you guys connected. And when we do eventually return to those in-person events, you can remember some of the contacts that you made through this environment. And, you know, we can share some good stories together in person again soon. So before we go into the agenda, I do have one really quick poll that I'm gonna launch now. So this should pop up on your screen. So I'm going to launch it and give you guys a couple seconds to see that and answer the questions. Everybody see it? Shake your head. Yes, no? Cool. All right, cool. Now I'm seeing the answers coming in. And while you're taking the poll, we've had several user groups in Seattle and in Portland. For those of you who are coming in from Montana, we've not had one there, so this is, we're really excited to be able to bring you all into this as well. What happened to my following questions? That's interesting.
It looks like it restarted.
Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of strange, right? That was weird.
I think somebody else might have joined, so it restarted.
Possible. That's interesting. That's something we'll have to look into. Okay.
Also, Andrew, just so you know, co-hosts are not able to put in answers.
To vote. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, so great. This is good. We'll give another 10, 20 seconds. We have looks like 23 of 40, so about a little over half of us have voted. Let's get the last batch in there in the next, say, 10 or 15 seconds. And I think I should be able to share the results so we can all take a look at that on the screen in here in just a few seconds. All right, then why don't we end it there? There we go. I think you guys, you guys all see that? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So a lot of first timers, which is great. Awesome. Really excited by that. That's great, guys. Thank you again. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully this is something that brings some value to your day. All right. So moving on. Quick agenda. Again, my name is Andrew. For those of you who just joined, I run the Boomi community and the user group program under the Boomiverse. I have also on our call today, Matt Krebsbach is, Matt, if you want to just introduce yourself quickly to the group.
Hey everyone. So Matt Krebsbach, Senior Manager, Boomiverse. So working with Andrew on trying to drive the best experience we can through our community and our user group events. So thanks everyone for coming.
Cool, sounds good. Thank you, Matt. So we have Lisa Botkin later on. Lee's on the call. Lee, you want to wave to everybody? I don't know if they can see you. Your screen's pretty small. So we'll hear from Lee later on, and then from Authority and Vishwam. And then we'll go into some live feedback at the end, take the poll, and then that should pretty much wrap our day up. But before we get into that, there is one exercise that I love to do in the live events. So for those of you who've been to the live events, we do a what's called the brain toss. And the reason I call it a brain toss is because it is an actual rubber foam brain. I should bring it out for the next event. Reminder, Caitlin and Lisa and Sarah. I'll have the brain that I can show people. So the idea behind the brain toss is to give everybody in the room. In this case, we're not going to do that. Maybe we'll try to get 10 or 15 people to hopefully volunteer by raising their hands. Just to go through these questions, take 30 seconds, 45 seconds. It's a nice icebreaker opportunity to get to know the folks in the room. So again, when we return to those in-person events, that you'll start to build those relationships. You'll have kind of broken those barriers down a bit. Maybe you'll hear something that's really interesting that you hadn't thought about. Maybe it's a specific use case that you can then apply to your business, expand your use of Boomi in ways that you maybe previously hadn't thought of. So just take about 30, 45 seconds. I would love to get some volunteers on the call who are willing to do this. If I don't get volunteers, people will volunteer, and I may try to pick on a few people to at least kick things off. So everyone can see the slides, hopefully. So just let's see who's interested. I know there's a lot of new folks on the call. So let's see how this goes. All right, Caitlin, let me unmute you.
Hi. Well,
Hey there.
I'm Caitlin, not to be confused with Boomi Caitlin. I'm new. This is my first Boomi experience with the group. Kind of fun to do it from my home, but also kind of not fun to do it from my home. I digress. Answering some of the questions. I'm Caitlin McGrath. I work at Trident Seafoods. I am a systems integration analyst at Trident Seafoods. And our original purpose in buying Boomi was to upgrade our EDI platform. We were previously using Trusted Link, which had certain drawbacks that we felt we could improve through Boomi. And we have. It has greatly increased our ability to onboard EDI customers and troubleshoot issues, et cetera, et cetera. The Boomi user community online has been extremely helpful for me as I've been troubleshooting some map issues. I hope to get a question in later on, potentially about an issue that I'm currently having. But we're also using Boomi to integrate a new transportation management system that we just purchased for our transportation of fish across the country and across the world. We've been using, I just was part of a webinar to learn a little bit more about your API management. We haven't purchased that product, but who knows? I mean, you've got a lot of different things that are available, which we are interested to explore as we grow in our community at Trident Seafoods. And I'd say an interesting fact about myself is that I like to knit, maybe? And I knit an entire queen-sized blanket off of the Sierpinski carpet square design. I'm done.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Caitlin. Thank you for being our first. That's awesome. Who's up? Who's next? All right. Get them coming in. Unmute. Martin, go for it. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, this is my first user group with Boomi as well. It's a pleasure. My name is Martin Corcell. I'm from Le Schwab. I work as an integrations developer for it. Well, the Le Schwab service using Boomi started primarily switching between integration tools. They were using stuff like Castainer from IBM, and they switched to something a little more from this century. So okay, here we are, and yeah, it's much easier. The approach that Boomi has, it really helps new developers to get into it. The whole configuration standpoint, instead of hard coding, it's what makes it so powerful as well. The Boomi user community helped us a lot when finding errors or some things that you may say are common errors, or but you can find the community most likely will have the answer. I'll solve many questions just by digging into it. So it's always helpful to have those posted on there. My next Boomi Journey, probably something to do with Boomi Flow. The enterprise is trying to provide solutions for other parts of it, of the same enterprise, with Boomi Flow, and try to integrate everything together. And I think it's a great tool to do so. The idea to have Boomi as an integrations backend and Boomi Flow as a front end for it is what makes it so easier to work with. It's a really fast solution to a lot of problems. Well, about myself, I'm playing chess a lot lately. I'm not good at all, but I'll try. I'm trying. Also like to play video games. Yeah.
Awesome. Martin, thank you so much. And by the way, you have two of our premier flow experts who are both based in the Seattle area. I see Leslie smiling, and Tillo, if I could find you. I don't know where you are. There you are.
I was smiling because of chess and video games. You had me at chess and video games.
Now you got chess, video games, and flow in common.
Yeah.
Can't get any better than that. Awesome, Martin. Thank you so much. David, I see you're next. And you were actually our first guest. I had to figure that you'd want to volunteer and participate in this portion of it. So thank you for volunteering as well.
Hi, Dave Wagner with Cascade Corporation. One of you is from Trident Seafoods. I work with Kevin Courtney quite a bit on a bunch of stuff, and the other one's from Les Schwab, and I use Les Schwab all the time. So it's great to talk to people I've already got a connection with somehow. We purchased Boomi very recently, so we're just getting started on it. We're on 20, 30-year-old ERP software, 20, 30-year-old Lotus Notes, Lotus Domino stuff. So we're excited to kind of get the systems talking to each other. So that's kind of why we purchased it. And then we're modernizing other systems too. Let's see. And how has the user community helped? I just love how established the community is, how easy it is to get to Google an issue that I'm having and find an answer within the first 3 or 4 Google results. So that's really cool. Where are we going next? We're establishing our practice, establishing our, I don't know what, center of excellence, center of competency. And then kind of getting right with the auditors and all of that fun stuff, and then training people up using the Boomi training. So really cool stuff that you guys just have sitting out there for that makes something like COVID not too bad to keep moving with. Interesting fact about myself, I'm leveling up all my guns on Modern Warfare, Xbox. So that's about it. I've been a gamer, a competitive gamer for a lot of years, ever since Quake 2. So.
Cool. Awesome, David. Thank you for joining and checking. Thank you for sharing. So we have Stephen Elash. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Yeah, that's pretty much correct. Yeah, Elash.
I was about to pick on you, and I'll blame Brandon for that.
Fern.
One.
Okay, well, Fern or Alejandro. Yeah, so my name is Stephen Elash. I work for Warehouser Company Limited. Their HQ is in Seattle. I'm an integration engineer, and I also do solution architecture for our group. We purchased Boomi, I think it's probably been roughly 2 years ago. And one of the primary challenges that we were looking at is having a nimbler integration platform. I think that's how I would characterize it in brief. Something that's API capable in a short time frame. I would, for new users and for existing users, I found the Boomi user community to be extremely helpful. I think I've really appreciated a number of the posts or the articles that have been put on there. Trying to think of, is it Adam Aerosmith? I think that's one of the resources who's been really helpful. In terms of the content that he's provided as well as others. So yeah, it's been multifaceted, not only in terms of the Boomi mapping, which we're quite interested in, but also just from the platform and the maintenance level around the whole environment. So it's quite good. Our Boomi journey is right now it's multifaceted with regard to we're looking at migrating from our existing integration platform onto Boomi, and as well adding. Our company has a number of business initiatives as well as just companies grow, and so adding capabilities or using the capabilities of Boomi to satisfy line of business demand and needs along those lines. Interesting fact about myself. I don't know if it's super interesting. I guess long-term techie. I mean, married late in life, and I love my wife very much. Yeah, trying to think about something in terms of good icebreaker. Actually, with the recent BC, may be a little different than other places, but or sorry, BC. Canada, like that's where I'm in, Burnaby, BC. But yeah, so I mean, like I've actually just taken up cycling after the working day, which is kind of nice to be able to just actually just get out and enjoy a bit of the area. So yeah.
I see Caitlin giving a thumbs up on the cycling.
Cool.
And a Boomi stud, I might add. So.
Oh, well, thanks, Fred.
Yeah.
Awesome, Stephen. Thank you very much
Sure.
for that. We have Will. Will, welcome. You unmuted?
Thanks.
No,
I am. Yeah, so Will Markin, work for F5 here in Seattle, and manager of the systems integration team. I think we've had purchased Boomi maybe 3 years ago, and it's really helping us knit together all these various SaaS solutions that we have and on-prem as well. We've acquired a couple of companies in the last year or so, Nginx and Shape, and they all have the various implementations like Salesforce, and so we're really using Boomi to integrate or kind of unify the sales process, like the quote to cash business process. So it's really a central part of that. How's user Boomi community helped us? I think it's, yeah, the search capabilities are finding common or answers to problems that we've had, and also I've attended one other session down on Pioneer Square, just looking for more, just to make connections with people and that are kind of facing the same challenges and being able to team up on things and help each other out. So it's kind of more what I'm looking forward to rather than real experience so far. Where's the Boomi Journey taking us next year? Well, a lot more integrations. It's more kind of process how we're building things, making sure we're building sustainable integrations, maintainable rather than building up a huge kind of maintenance nightmare. So that's kind of the challenge. And also I really want to explore the kind of the pub sub capabilities through Boomi. I guess that includes flow and so on. So I've talked to Brandon about that several times. Interesting fact, well, I guess I like boats. This is not a screen background. I'm actually on my boat in my backyard. I don't know if you can see it.
Is your
it's under a cover.
Is your boat?
No, it's on a trailer. It's on a trailer in my backyard. So it's my little, so I WFB, work from boat.
Nice.
I thought you were actually out in the water somewhere right now.
I wish.
I
wish. Maybe in the summertime when San Juans open up, I'll work from San Juans.
Nice.
Sweet. Awesome. Good stuff. Anybody else? Anybody else want to go? Travis. I see you raising your hand physically. I need to find you on the list here.
I don't know if I can unmute myself because it's showing that I could.
It looks like somebody unmuted you.
I unmuted me.
Anyway, you did.
Yeah, I noticed earlier I could do that, but anyway, so I'm Travis Nelson. I work for Micron Technology in Boise, Idaho. Main reason Micron purchased Boomi was initially primarily application integration between our SAP ERP system and Salesforce. But we were kind of branching out into other things, some API exchange, and then I'm the EDI architect at Micron, so we're looking at it for our EDI exchanges as well. User community, I haven't interacted a lot with the user community yet. A little bit of online searching for some stuff, but for the most part, just looking forward to getting a little more connected. We've actually got at least a 22 to 24 month project ongoing right now to migrate our EDI to Boomi. So that's the next big step for us, as well as a variety of usages for it in the Salesforce space and some other large project efforts we've got going on. Interesting fact about me. For years, I did medieval recreation with the Society for Creative Anachronism. So built my own armor, fought in it, all sorts of medieval arts and crafts, stained glass, woodworking, metalworking,
Nice.
all that sort of stuff.
Awesome. Cool. I see a few thumbs up on that one. Okay, good stuff. How are we doing? I think we can maybe do one more, then we should probably move on to Lee. David.
So I'm David Hudson. I work as an IT analyst at Seattle Genetics. We purchased Boomi as a platform, I believe, last year, and I was probably the first user to get my hands on it outside of the implementation team. I have a couple of research laboratory information management systems that I deal with. All of them are relatively new. Some of them are still in implementation. We're using those systems as our registry systems for as primary registries. And I need to share the information about samples and drug compounds out across a bunch of those different systems. So I'm using Boomi to pull information directly from our registries to a data warehouse and then push it back out. And with all of our systems being relatively new and some of them still being in flux, that's going to let me be a little bit more nimble in my ETL than I've had to deal with in the past. Next things in Boomi is working with some systems that are cloud-based, and so working with 100% API integrations. Facts about myself: I have graduate degrees in math and science, and I run. So
Great, good stuff, David. Thank you for sharing as well. I think that's probably good. Again, really appreciate. I see a big thumbs up there from Tillo. So great job, everybody. That's awesome. I think that, again, the point of this is really just to share some interesting facts about yourself, share some stories, talk about why you're using Boomi. Hopefully those stories get to resonate with some others on the call and through the community, through the Boomiverse, whether it's at a live event, a user group, on the community, at Boomi World, or out for pizza and beer, or a happy hour field marketing event, that we can all get a chance to take some of those stories, start to build those relationships, and then look at each other as potential really great resources for helping us to continue accelerating our journeys on Boomi. So thank you guys for those of you who shared. Looking forward to the next one, where there'll be more opportunity to do that. And that's it. So great job, everyone. Lee, I'm going to pass the controls to you. Are you ready to go?
Always.
Always. Awesome. Okay, everyone. So Lee will probably give his, brain toss to you all before he gets started. So you get to know a little bit more about Lee, and then we'll continue moving on. I'm going to mute everybody again. Hopefully, if you have questions and you can unmute, go for it. If you can't unmute, because I just made a small tweak in Zoom, even though I did it in the beginning, so that seems like a Zoom bug, not a user error on my part. I'll blame Zoom for this one. But if you cannot unmute, go ahead and just raise your hand through the raise your hand feature. Again, for those who joined, if you open up the participants panel, there is a feature to raise your hand virtually. If you can't find it and you can unmute yourself, of course, do that. Or just wave your hands and we'll try and see you. There's multiple screens here, so we may not see you. So figure out it. Or I think I just enabled the chat. You can always try to ping us on the chat as well. So with that, Lee, I'm going to stop sharing and allow you to share and do your thing.
Awesome. Share my screen here. All right, can you see my slides up there?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. All right, so my name is Lee Sabatkin, a solution architect with Dell Boomi. I've been with the company for over 5 years now. And I'm probably a bit of an oddball out of this group here. because we can do these events virtual, I actually live in Philadelphia, so on the other coast here. But that doesn't mean that things that are in this presentation don't apply to everybody. So Andrew asked me to come talk today, and I put together this presentation on multi-tenancy within the Boomi platform, and I kind of just walk through more of a thought process that I have of how customers kind of arrive to a multi-tenancy environment. Talk about some features and functions that are in the platform that enable that, to make things really nice in the situations. Again, just conversational. I apologize, I don't have any cool diagrams in my charts, which is unusual for me because I love diagrams. But hopefully this kind of fosters some discussion about some larger customers that are evolving in their platform. So multi-tenancy, how do we kind of get there in the end? And a lot of times it's not a big bang, right? A lot of people I've heard talking today, you start off small, you have a project, a business need that you're trying to address. And then over time, you start to see other opportunities. And that's where this kind of expansion comes into play. And then you start to organically grow and arrive in this multi-tenancy environment. And so some of those kind of cases that may arise over time may be that Boomi is adopted in one particular business unit, and maybe HR now sees a need for integration in their ecosystem. Maybe supply chain wants to bring in flow, bring in data catalog and prep, and so now you have a proliferation across multiple business units. Maybe geographically, a lot of companies are worldwide now. So maybe you have a U.S. North America contingent. Maybe you have a contingent in Europe. And what you're probably already aware of is that they have different data rules. They have data residency issues. They have different laws they have to abide by. So how do you keep things separate in those kinds of situations? A lot of times maybe you need stronger compliance where maybe you're a financial institution and you need to keep certain PII data separate from other integration. Or maybe you're trying to democratize integration within your organization, your company. And so in doing that, how do you build a chargeback model to charge those business units or individuals that are consuming the services that you're making available within the platform? So when this happens, what you tend to end up with is having to create more than one Boomi environment for these different use cases. And when you do that, one of the nice things you can do within the platform is organize those accounts and specifically in a hierarchical format. And we kind of use different terminology for this in various cases. I tend to use hierarchical formats. You'll see a lot of times sub-accounts, parent-child, being used in that construct, all are the same. But once you kind of get to that need, you start to open up possibilities for features that you may not have been aware of when you were working on with one or two projects, very focused. So I kind of lied. I do have one diagram here about what that hierarchical architecture may look like in your account, right? So if I were just kind of using a generic company called Acme, maybe they have a corporate master account that's doing HR integrations maybe some back office work across the landscape. But as I mentioned before, maybe they're worldwide and they have data residency issues that need to make sure that any data that originates in Europe stays in Europe. And maybe over time, the company procures another company and they become a subsidiary. So you want to keep them a separate entity. You don't want to fold them into the mix. Maybe there's a plan to spin them off at some point in the future. So you can create this multi-tiered architecture within the platform. Again, all distinct accounts. They all have their own build environments, their own runtimes, and we'll get into kind of those features that come along with this. But this just kind of give you a kind of a pictorial view of maybe how something would be structured in a very large organization. So you kind of get to this point. So now what, right? So here's all the kind of the features and things that you need to think about. Account groups, which kind of give you access to those various accounts. Process library, you may be already familiar with this. You may have seen the process library in the platform where Dell publishes templates, best practices on a regular basis. Integration packs, your own private Atom Cloud, and then kind of maybe some considerations that come at the end there.
Hey Lee, real quick, there's a question from Kartik. I'm gonna unmute you, Kartik. Oh, go for it.
Hey Lee, nice meeting you, Lee, after a long time. A quick question on the account hierarchy. Is that allowed? Like a grandchild account is allowed? Like I thought only parent and child, then only 2 levels. Is that a new announcement, or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, so there really isn't any kind of restriction on your organization. In fact, that you can get in situations where one account could have 2 parents. So there's various kind of constructs that you can get into, but yeah, there's really no kind of limiting in the tiering when you get into that hierarchical structure.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure thing.
And anybody else, feel free to jump in. I'll keep a watch, and I'll when I find a break for Lee, then if you're okay with that, Lee. I assume you're good with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good.
Great.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, Kartik.
And so one of the things that you can imagine is problematic when you start getting into this multiple account construct is how do I control access to these various accounts, and maybe even how do I centralize that access? And so the first kind of construct that is available to you is account groups. And so now you can start assigning developers to maybe to the Americas, to EMEA, to APAC, and then allow developers within those groups to only have access to accounts that fall under those umbrellas. It also kind of restricts the other resources that are available within those accounts. But the nice thing also is as you try to control and kind of cascade that access down through that hierarchical structure, you can also provision access within a single account as well. So there's nothing that really stops you from maybe, as you're familiar with today, from user management to adding individuals to your account, to doing custom roles. None of that changes. Single sign-on doesn't change. But now you have the ability to kind of do groupings with access control across those various accounts that you create within that particular landscape. I mentioned the process library. This is actually an extremely important feature that is available. And I'll just kind of build this out here. If you're familiar with, like I mentioned, the process library that shows up in the bottom left of the build tab, where you can install templates or accelerators to kind of get your project off the ground. You may have seen also when you were enrolled in a training account that the training makes processes available so you can install them in your account and walk through the exercises. Well, the same thing applies here. If you wanted to set up maybe a center of excellence, maybe a standard within a company, maybe a template, this is how we connect to this homegrown system maybe that we have. So you don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. You can just go to the process library and leverage those templates.
Just a
and
shout.
So again,
I was just going to chime in on this one here, process library stuff. If you haven't used the process library, it gives you these examples like Lee is talking about here, but we're actively looking for new ones. If you guys have things that you've run through that said, you know what would be nice if I could just have a template of that, like if there's a type of connector that you're looking at or different mapping setup, totally open. If you have stuff in there that you said, you know what, I wish there was this in there, do tell. Anyone on this call could help enhance that process library. So if you have any, fire away.
How would they get those ideas submitted?
Pick one of us, right? Hey, feel free. We could go to the community. Oh, that's where you're going. You're going to community workshop. Do it at the community.boomi. But yeah, the idea is that we can certainly get them
through the community share, right?
Yep. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. To the community share. But yeah.
Yeah. So there's a flow form in the community share that allows you to submit your ideas for consideration by the team to add that to the process libraries and then make that available through the community.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, so the same thing that we're talking about here about Boomi publishing those templates, the same thing would be applying to, let's say, Acme in that diagram, publishing best practices or templates or accelerators that would be common across their landscape. And if you use the process library in the past, the one thing that you'll kind of note is that you copy those processes into your account, you modify them, you go forth, you deploy them, you run them. Kind of the drawback here with a process library is that if there are enhancements and those enhancements are published over time, you kind of have to retake that snapshot into your account and make those changes. But again, a good way to share out those elements to the various pieces of the organization that may want to re-leverage things over and over again. Now, most people, like I said, seen process library in the bottom left of the build tab. There's actually a similar construct out there that you may not have seen because that kind of comes with that hierarchical account structure. And that is integration packs. So integration packs now, they're very similar to a process library. But now I can take a set of integrations, I can bundle them up, and I can allow an account to take that integration pack and run it. So the sub account doesn't necessarily have the ability now to make changes or take a local copy and make changes. They take the integration pack and they set some configuration values, maybe pointing to their specific instance of a database or another application, and off they go and run the process. So very similar to the process library, but a little bit different because again, not allowing the lower tiered accounts to make changes to those integrations. And the other kind of benefit as well as there are enhancements or upgrades to that integration pack, you can automatically push that to all the sub accounts that are leveraging that integration pack. So think of it as kind of your own release mechanism that you can distribute now across those various accounts. So again, similar, a little bit different. The other thing here too, and I kind of want to just step back a bit and talk about the runtime aspect of this, because this is extremely important when you talk about from an architecture point of view. So most of you are probably familiar with either an atom or a molecule. You've installed them in your account. They're often running. You're deploying processes. Great. But from a runtime construct, those are not shareable across your hierarchical account landscape. So what that means now is for every account you have or sub-account, you have to spin up production molecules, UAT molecules, dev atoms, and now you have to maintain this sprawling infrastructure across the multiple accounts. Now, one of the things that you're also probably aware of is our Boomi hosted public Atom cloud, which allows you to, run with a zero footprint, deploy without having to host anything in your account. And this is available to pretty much all of our customers that are running on the platform. But what some customers find out is this is a constrained resource because it is a public cloud environment. We have to make sure that everybody's a good citizen in that cloud. So there are some constraints in there to make sure that one customer doesn't monopolize all of the resources. But in that same fashion, now you can start to consider hosting your own company private Atom cloud. So what does that mean? Architecturally and physically, the Atom cloud looks very similar to a molecule. You have multiple nodes, they're communicating through a file share. The only difference here with the Atom cloud is now I can share an Atom cloud resource across those multiple accounts. So think about it from the perspective of instead of having to install molecules and atoms in every sub-account and manage that infrastructure in various places, now I can condense my physical infrastructure into a single environment and then create many different logical environments to accommodate my various sub-accounts. The other thing that's very important here as well from an infrastructure point of view, if you haven't seen this before, there's a forked execution concept with an Atom cloud that basically allows you to almost containerize every execution. And so if you have a rogue process that is either going to be a resource hog or consume a lot of data, it's not going to monopolize or take down the entire Atom cloud. So there's some high availability built in from that aspect, having this separate JVM for each execution that occurs within that runtime. I mentioned the centralization piece there about collapsing that infrastructure. The other piece that is really important to note as well is once you create that physical infrastructure and I allocate or allow my sub-accounts to create attachments against that Atom cloud, similarly how you do with our Boomi hosted public cloud, I can now start to put constraints on those sub-accounts as far as how they utilize those resources. And so again, kind of putting some guardrails in place, making sure that one sub-account or one project doesn't monopolize all of the resources that you set forth within your environment. And the other nice piece as well is the data isolation between accounts. So even if you have maybe an HR subtenant that is running PII data. Another sub-account that's running on the same infrastructure won't be able to see or have access to that data that's running in that adjacent sub-account. So again, when we talk about high security and compliance models, it's an extremely important piece to have instead of having to spin up new environments, new infrastructure, and kind of increase that cost just to do data isolation. And then when we kind of talk about hosting your private Atom Cloud, we have a lot of customers out there that are doing that either in their own data center or infrastructure as a service, Azure, AWS, GCP. And in those cases, you're pretty much in control of how do you do high availability, how do you do your DR, how do you scale out when resources are contentious. Kind of conversely to that, we do have a premium service internally that we offer, managed cloud service, where we will host your private cloud environment within your infrastructure as a service choosing. So AWS, Azure, GCP. And it's a premium service because we do everything from provisioning those assets, securing them, managing them, 24/7 monitoring, allowing you to see into that monitoring how the resources are being consumed. So it's a pretty much hands-off delivery service that's available to a lot of our customers that want to go down this path of, excuse me, of spinning up their own private Atom Cloud, but maybe don't have the expertise in-house to do that, and meet all those requirements. And the managed cloud service meets all the requirements that our public hosted cloud offers. So 4.9 in availability, and the same RTO, same RPO that is offered in our public cloud. So again, sometimes difficult for some of our customers to meet those requirements. And kind of the last consideration here, as we're talking about doing a proliferation of accounts, infrastructure, access controls, there's all kinds of trade-offs that you have to make with this kind of architecture. So how do I align this with the organization? How is that organization changing over time that may need to mirror that infrastructure that you're providing? Kind of talked about the Atom Clouds. That is definitely an option. It's not necessarily the rule to share that infrastructure across the accounts. And it does not rule out spinning up highly specialized environments. So maybe you had a very heavy duty ETL batch process that you need to process, or really low latency API requirements. You can still spin up those environments, those molecules, those atoms in those sub-accounts and address those requirements in that sense. The administration, how many people are needing access across that landscape to those sub-accounts? How do I delegate access? How do I do all that monitoring, that logging, that auditing? As most of you probably know, a lot of that can be automated through our AtomSphere API, which kind of wraps the platform and allows you to expose those data parameters, those actions to the outside world. Licensing is always a cost, along with complexity, right? So as I start spinning up sub-accounts, how am I delegating now connectors across those accounts? If I do need to spin up multiple molecules, what does that look like as far as a licensing consideration? So these are all kinds of things that you may want to think about when you thinking about going down this hierarchical model for organizing your Boomi assets. That was all I have. Again, just kind of a run through of those pieces, those features and functions that kind of enable you to run that hierarchical model, and how some of our customers get there today.
Awesome, Lee. Thank you so much. I did see a question from Kartik coming through the chat. If any other questions, feel free to raise your hand for Lee. Kartik, can you either raise your hand or just, I don't know if you can unmute anymore. I don't think you can, but if you can, go for it. I'm not seeing.
I was able to.
You are.
Hey, thanks.
Bugging the
Andrew.
system.
Lee, I know you mentioned about the forked execution. I think that's an advantage of having a siloed JVM for every execution and keeping them isolated so that one wouldn't bother the other. That's an advantage of it. On the flip side of it, the latency in spinning up a JVM is one thing. And one of the workaround that we have seen so far is the Atom worker. So other than the Atom worker, is there anything that you would suggest that would keep the high ESLA type of real-time integrations running smoothly?
Yeah. So yeah, the Atom worker is definitely a good construct there to start with in those situations. Again, there is even more kind of architecture patterns I've seen put forth to do low latency, API requirements or executions, whether that's spinning up just distinct atoms within a single environment, front loading that with a network load balancer, so you don't have to get into a situation of the atoms communicating to each other and some other little latency things that crop up with molecules and atom clouds. Is one potential solution to that problem. So I think these are some of the tools in the toolbox, but there's definitely some other other constructs that are out there in the wild to really get at those niche SLA requirements that you're talking about.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kartik. Any other questions for Lee? I think we probably have time for one more, and then don't want to cut into Vishwam's time either. Any questions? Go raise your hand. We'll unmute you unless you can unmute yourselves. Seems like you can. Okay, going once, going twice. If you have questions for Lee, you're welcome to reach out to us. We can pass those along, or you can just ask him through the community as well. So Lee, as always, thank you. Interesting story about Lee. So Lee and I kicked this user group program off together in 2018. It seems like we were following each other around the country for about at least a half a year. So I've been asking and begging Lee for about 2 years now to let's put the band back together, and we finally have. Lee, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, Vishwam, I think you are you ready?
Yes, sir. Okay, so
all right.
Let me get the slides up. Try to share the screen. Okay, so can you see the screen?
Coming up now.
Yeah, okay.
And by the way, Stephen, I saw your question pop up in the chat. If you want, you can save that one till the end there.
I'll answer it, Andrew. I'll answer it for him.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. Yeah, thanks, Andrew and Lee, so for the introductions and so for the great presentation. So in this one, yeah, so really glad to see from the audience, a lot of the people that we met and or worked together over the period of last 5 years or so. So yeah, Colin, Thomas, and all the people from Lishwab, and obviously the great people from Dell. So hello again. And yeah, just to introduce myself, I know if the screen share is coming. Okay. So yeah, just to introduce for the rest of you, so about myself. So my name is Vishwam Anam. So I'm a principal architect at Authority. So we have been Dell partner since 2015. So over the years, we have implemented several integration, and would like to showcase and share some of the findings, so that we see on the EDA side of it, some of the best practice. I mean, I worked with Dell Boomi for about 8 years. So previously, with I was working for American Express. So we are one of the early customers, early enterprise customers, working with Dell Boomi. So it's an enterprise tool of choice. And so far, I mean, I have worked with several integration platforms, and Dell Boomi so far is the best. And with the ease of implementation, and with the flexibility to implement the center of excellence, I think that's what most of the enterprise customers that they're interested in. So the time to market. So let me. Oh, is the screen share coming? I think probably I did something on my side.
I can see your screen. It says presenter intro.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Rhonda. So I think, yeah. So just to set some context on the EDA, right? So just to see, how many of the audience are already familiar with the EDI, or have worked or currently working with the EDI. So can you do a quick poll on that, or raise hands? Yeah, it seems like a lot of people heard or used EDI. So for the ones that who did not have a chance to implement or use EDI, so EDI stands for Electronic Data Interchange, and especially it's a lot of people think so it's a technology, or it's a separate tool. So, but on the other hand, it's a set of standards. Those are guided by different authorities, say ANSI, or Rosetta Net, or any of these healthcare providers on the HL7 side. So it's a set of guidance, so that pretty much if you take the standard operations that your company do. So what is the basic way to structure your fields and then your layouts and messages? So in a way that is that comes handy, and then it could be adopted by other customers as well. So say with your customer, so you have a buyer and a seller. So the common use cases, right? So you want to get some quotes. So from your sellers. So we see this a lot with our airlines customers. So they have some quotes from Honeywell, Boeing, or any of these parts manufacturers. So they want to get a bidding process going on. And then when somebody wins the bid, and then they would go ahead and release the purchase requisition, and then the purchase order. And then when they get the goods to their facility, so then so they would pay the invoices. So all of these are standard processes. So those were the data flows between the buyers and sellers by most of the time with X12, so with the EDA standard. So on the other hand, Honeywell understands, okay, this is the data that I'm getting, and on the other hand, the airline partner, so they're aware when they're shipping, so the goods. So it's a standard that governs in all the industries, especially in the retail, manufacturing, transportation, and supply chain. So and then also in the healthcare side of it as well, with the HL7, with the patient billing could be an example. Or like, if you want to verify the benefit eligibility or like, inquiry. So there's some HL7 standards out there. So why EDI? So EDI has been around for a long time. So, and a lot of customers are already had familiarity with that. And so they have either the legacy systems or like, the latest and greatest ERP systems. So those were built on top of, the backend, the structure is on top of the EDI. So say like, if you're taking any of the invoice data, like, in your ERP system. So with the NetSuite. So NetSuite has an EDI connector, and then we can leverage Boomi on top of that and then update the EDI data. So the goal of EDI is to ensure the data is current and then up to date. And along with that, a quick processing time. On the other hand, like, you could process the data with the JSON, XML, or, any of the other formats, right? So with the EDI, since it is structured, the fields are defined already for you. So these are, if you have a platform such as Boomi, so it's easy to import the profile and then you don't need to rebuild a lot of the work that, you would have been otherwise, with the APIs. And over the time, like, there's a ongoing cost savings on the EDI side of it. And let's talk about, say, like, if I heard so from some of the customers that, you have been using EDI for a while, and some are like, probably relatively new to Boomi and to EDI. So with our experience, we could talk about some of the use cases. How Boomi helped our customers to quick time to market. So especially one customer, so they were hit by a Trojan virus attack. All of their WAN data got wiped out, and they need a system that to be up and running right away. So we helped them in setting up, through all of their talking to their trading partners and then getting the requirements. So I'm going to give some examples, with our implementation. So as we go through the journey of like, the best practices. So with, yeah, so with, during the planning stage, so a lot of people, especially, now with the e-commerce, so since it is more prevalent than it used to be, just a few months back, right? So some people like, who are only, we have some customers who are only doing store-based offerings, So now a lot of, we are seeing a lot of demand for the e-commerce, and then also more communication with the data. So if you have any situation like that, you are implementing Dell Boomi as your solution. So how do we start, with the planning process? So I talked to, say, like 250 trading partners, so what's the best way that I could optimize? So the planning stage is crucial because it guides the requirements, it guides all the way to the implementation, and then it determines the success of your project and the implementation. So some of our learnings, by working with the customer, so spend the time in talking to your functional team, especially your backend team. So understand, like, how they are doing the, reconciliation, how they are invoicing it, how they are sending the purchase orders. So there are a lot of, during our planning, working with like, one airlines customer and then, some retail stores. So a lot of optimizations that would come, and these are the point of contacts, right? They're doing copy and paste from one system to other, because the systems don't talk to each other. So talk to your backend office and also your sales team and see like what's the normal process, and capture those, identify all of these, integration touch points, and then understand your needs as well. So say like, you have 120 or like, whatever the number of trading partners, right? So one is, how do you establish the connectivity? So those will get to it. but understand what exactly that you want to accomplish, with your EDI implementation. So is your goal to send them the data in the quality manner, or is it something that you want to delay it by doing some workaround? What we have seen is if you delay it, so then it's going to make it even more complex, like when you have the solution in place. So identify your needs and then talk to your trading partners, talk to your functional teams, talk to your back-end office, and come up with some of the best practices, like what challenges that they're having. So talk to your vendors, talk to your ERP partners as well, because they add so much value to your integrations. Because say, you may want to create some fields, so that would just point to your other trading partners portal. Say like, if you're using a van, or like, say if you are Gentran, or like if you are using any of the SAP integrations. So sometimes like, it could be as simple as like doing a single sign-on with the Boomi data and then point to their system. So in that way, it saves a lot of time on your backend side of it. And then also factor in your volume considerations. So now everything is electronic, and then like, so, and it's always the key to manage your inventory in the right places. So because it would be an issue, like when your customer would go to your site and then like they ordered something, then you had to cancel it because it's not in your inventory. And the worst would be you have items in your inventory, but you cannot sell because on your other system it shows 0. So that this inventory is sitting on the shelf. So so we did some cycle count with our customers and try to get all the data in sync, and then do some of these, like do some data analysis as part of your planning stage. So then when you're ready for your design solution, so try to follow some of the standards so that are already there. So it's always tempting, especially like when you have a framework as open as Boomi. So it's always tempting to experiment with the small things and then like try to leverage. So which is fine as part of your learning curve. So try to understand at the same time, like what would be the best if I had to implement a best of the breed EDI solution, like at my organization. So how would it look like? What kind of integration patterns that you want to leverage? So what kind of data synchronization methods? Like, do you want the real time or do you want a batch based? So if it is a real time, like enable your functional acknowledgement, and then also enable your alert mechanism. So because all of these add so much value, when you do a reporting on the daily wise. Like say if you're a billing team, or like if you're a tax planning team, they're running a report. So on the last days of transactions, and then like you should be able to validate that with your Boomi data as well. So try to think as a best practices when you're designing the solution. So some of those are try to capture along with capturing all the data elements. So try to capture the metadata as well. So what I mean by metadata is, say like if you have 850 that you are sending, and then so your partner is sending 855. Okay, this item is being shipped. So make sure like you capture the metadata related to, is it the shipping address, is it the billing address, what kind of payment method, whether there are a couple of methods that they are using for the payments. Like they're probably using a gift card along with a credit card payment, or like PayPal or any of those. So I think mastering your metadata along with focusing on your key transaction data. So I think that's going to take you a journey long way. And along with that, ensure the accuracy in your data mapping as well. And then stick to the specifications wherever possible. So we see a lot of time that could be saved when you do some of the testing, like with the sample data. So and ensure like whether the string lengths are fine, and then like whether you are sending the right values, whether you are sending the correct currency codes, country codes, and you're doing the proper, currency conversion if you operate in multiple countries. So, and put all of your business rules in one place. So say if you have to build an integration, so for your organization that talks about, that talks to 120 different vendors. So the way that you'd want to build is, instead of creating one profile for each of these 120 trading partners, if they are all using the purchase order. So try to create one and then try to scale that profile. So wherever you could. So in that way, and then you could do any of your business logic. So within your map shape itself. So all that is changing is your source data itself, but on the destination side, it still matches the EDA standard. And then the same would apply for your, when you are creating a new version of it as well. So try to do with the phased manner, and then this will give you, just like how you would do with the API. So you would publish a Swagger, for the API. So quite similar way, you could publish your own EDA standard. So you could onboard your EDA partners by publishing your best practices. So, and then these are the standards that you are following, and then so at least they could, so it will be a smooth onboarding process on their end. And then when you get to the testing, so how do you go about testing, right? Say, by this time, you probably have the connectivity established. So in the lower environments, and then, so you want to start testing it. So what I hear from, a lot of, I see that a lot in the Boomi community as well. So they're talking to their trading partners, and there are some connectivity issues, or, some data is not matching. So the way that, some of these challenges could be prevented is, say you build your trading partner as a company, and then you also build your company as a trading partner as well. And then your trading partner would match the specifications provided by your vendor. So in that way, you will be able to test, close to 80%, before you even, run a test with your trading partner. So try to automate wherever possible. And then, follow the naming conventions that you have in Boomi. Try to centralize the logic wherever you could, and then so leverage some of the standard, standard components that you have. And then when we get to the regression testing, have as much sample data as possible. So when you talk to your backend team, probably if they're using a SQL or any other ERP system or anything. So try to simulate, with the same data, what happens when the PO doesn't exist, during the payment. So you cannot pay it. So run through all of those test cases. They are familiar with the intricacies on the backend system. So, and then simulate those, say if, an email address, doesn't exist, but, they're subscribed to receive the invoice by email. So how do you handle those? So at least when you do this regression testing, so you would be able to overcome your data quality issues, and then build on top of that. And so how do you go about? So you built a solution, and then you tested it, and then how do you go about deploying it, and making sure your solution is ready for production? As a standard practice, and as you are already familiar with, so extend all the document properties, and then extend all of your connection values. So in that way, it will be a configuration change. So when you go into production, so other than the code change, and anything, especially if you're handling healthcare customers, so try do PGP or any other encryptions that they have. And also anything in flight, so do with SSL. So if you don't have a SSL by if you don't have one by your IT team, so try to use Boomi's self-signed SSL for your testing purposes. So all the data that is going through secure channels. And then the operation, so this is a challenging one. So with many EDA solutions that we have seen with our customers. So Boomi does a phenomenal job, like, with the monitoring some of the transactions. So with the tracked fields, so a lot of our customers, they have a huge volume of transactions. So they want to find out, okay, when is my, why my PO is not in my database? So did it hit Boomi? So you could do Boomi document tracking fields and then search by the PO number. And then get the real-time visibility, whether it's made it or did you send any confirmation. So it might have failed due to connectivity error. At least you will get a better visibility on where the transaction has. And then also try to link all of these transactions to the parent object. Say if an invoice has multiple items, try to link it to the invoice ID. So like those ones. And then, yeah, I know we don't have much time on this, but just on the closing note, before I show a couple of integration patterns. So subscribe to the notification alert, especially if there are errors. And then do not log everything into Boomi. So try to archive any files. So instead of logging anything, any and everything into Boomi. So over the time, that will become unmanageable, and the data may not be useful for you anymore. So because of the length restrictions and whatnot. So instead of that, try to send an alert or try to write into a file so that can be reviewed, maybe a disk drive. Write all the success ones and then write all the ones that are failed into an error log separately. So which could be then passed by other systems. So yeah, just want to present with a couple of integration patterns, when you are implementing your EDI solution. So one is, the routing mechanism. Say if you take the same example where you're working with multiple trading partners. So try not to build, one process for each. You can use the trading partner group and then trading partner IDs, and then send it along with those. Oh, let me go to the next one. Yeah. Thanks, Rana. So a couple of patterns that you could consider. So when you are building your EDI integration. So the first one is routing and mediation. So when you get the source data and then process to multiple target systems. So here, say your source data could be your ERP system. So based on the trading partner, you want to send your target data, and at the same time, you want to keep an archive of what data that they sent. So in case if you need to reprocess everything. So sometimes when you are reprocessing the data, it might be easier to process from the files because the file has the data at that point of time. Because in your ERP system it might have been updated. So keep a log of it, at least to a certain extent, and then send it to your downstream systems. Either it could be your Salesforce. You would want to flip a flag saying that this is the date and stamp that I sent a quote to your partner, or to NetSuite, for example. This is the time that I sent the purchase order, and then this is the time that I received ASMs.
Hey, Vishram,
So
just want to be mindful of the time. That's all, because I want to leave time for questions, and then that's time for the poll and wrap it up. But great stuff so far. So just if you can kind of pull it all home together, that'd be great.
Sure, Andrew. Yeah, I think we're almost done. So yeah, then the next orchestration is, this is more of a publish and subscribe. So when you have multiple trading partners, so we have one customer, say Kroger. So they have a lot of subsidiaries. So in Arizona, they operate under Fry's Foods. So in the same way, when you want to send it to all of their subsidiaries as well. So how do you send the data? You could use the queues or any of the mechanisms as part of your SOA base. So the same concepts could be applied to EDA as well. So yeah, just to close, Boomi is a great EDA tool. So it was originally built for EDA. So that's why it is so good at it, because it has all the predefined profiles, and then maps and best practices, with the sample process libraries. So I know, yeah, there are a lot to cover. So, but I want to see if anybody has any questions and open up the floor.
I know we only have a few more minutes. This is Rhonda. I'm also with Authority, and I just we've put the contact information on this last slide. So in the event that you had questions about EDI related to this presentation, that you can, you know, obviously you can reach out to Andrew, but please feel free to call us, and we'll loop everybody in through Andrew and the community.
Awesome, guys. And what I'll do with everyone is we'll send out an email after how to get engaged on community, and a good place to post your questions if you have questions. Just trying to be mindful of everyone's time here. So that might be the best way to continue the conversation after this event. But before we kind of just pull it all home, another minute or two here, I do want to launch this second poll. It would really help us continue to improve these events. If you all don't mind taking a second here to take that. Give me 1 second to launch that. I will not be sharing the results of this one because it does ask for speaker feedback. I will share it with the speakers, but let's just take a minute to go through that. If you guys don't mind filling that out, that'd be great. Everybody see it? Shake their heads. Yes. Cool. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And while you guys are completing that, again, we on behalf of Boomi, on behalf of the Boomi team, we sincerely hope that everyone is doing well, both mentally and physically, as well as emotionally, dealing with all this. Caitlin, I see your hand raised. I'll unmute you in 1 second if I can find your name here. I think if you raise your hand, you'll pop up to the top. Otherwise, I'm scrolling. Or maybe,
Yeah.
maybe you can unmute yourself. There you go.
Oh, I probably can, but you seem to have done it quite well, I think. So for question 8, I am fairly new to this, and there potentially should be a none of the above right now option in order to submit the poll.
Very good feedback. Thank you for that. Live feedback is a gift. So we will add that. Is that a required question? I can't remember if they were all required or not.
Unfortunately, it is.
Okay.
I don't know if you really want me to host a meeting.
I don't want anybody to host a meeting right now physically, but would certainly love to have people present at future meetings. Trying to get more customer perspectives at these events. But no, point well taken. So I would say choose your least favorable option.
Okay. Fair enough.
But thanks for pointing that out. No, but again, we really appreciate everyone taking the time to be with us today. We understand everyone. We're all kind of in this together, and hopefully coming out of it sometime in the near future and can get back together in person. But this was great, everyone. So thank you again for your time. If any questions do pop up, we'll be sending out just some basic information after the event with a couple of links where to get engaged on the community. There are a few groups that are set up. There's a Portland group, I believe. There's a Seattle group as well. So it might be a good place to post your questions about this event. We'll post the presentations in those groups too. And then we'll probably send an email out about getting getting people's permission if they're really uncomfortable with us posting the video. Then we'll have to think of a plan B for that. If everyone's cool with that, then we'll also post that on the community in some of the private areas. Other than that, thank you guys. Hopefully this was worth your time. If anybody has any last minute comments or any sort of live feedback, go for it. Unmute yourself and give it to us. If not, then we'll hopefully see you at the next one sometime very soon.
Thanks for including us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate everyone's time. Thanks to my team as well. So now we just got the Boomi team on. Good job, guys. Any thoughts? I can stop. Let me stop the recording.
I thought it was good. I thought